Welcome to an exciting introduction to HTML and CSS. Let's delve into the intriguing world of web development together. Today, I'll be guiding you through the basic concepts of HTML and CSS. HTML and CSS are the fundamental building blocks of web development. HTML provides the structure for web pages, while CSS adds style and design. Together, they allow us to create visually appealing and functional websites. Let's explore some key concepts of HTML and CSS. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is used to structure content on the web. Essentially, HTML forms the skeleton of a web page, giving it structure and defining its elements. In this video, we will cover an introduction to HTML, creating forms in HTML, an introduction to CSS, and how to apply CSS to HTML. By the end of this video, you'll have a strong understanding of how HTML and CSS work. A HTML document begins with the doctype declaration. This is followed by the HTML tag, which wraps the entire content. Inside the HTML tag, we have the head and the body section. The head section contains meta information about the document, such as the character set, viewport settings, and the title of the page. The body section contains the content that will be visible to the user, including headings, paragraphs, links, and images. Forms are crucial for user interaction on a website. A form is created using the form tag, and inside it, we use various input elements such as input, label, and button. Each input element has different types like text, email, password, and submit. The label tag is used to provide a label for each input field, making the form more accessible. The button tag is used to create a submit button, which sends the form data to the server for processing. Next, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It is used to style and lay out web pages. CSS allows us to control the appearance of elements like colors, fonts, spacing, and positioning. This separation of structure and style helps keep our code clean and maintainable. There are three ways to apply CSS to HTML. Firstly, there is inline CSS, and next there is internal CSS. Finally, there is also external CSS. Inline CSS is added directly within a HTML element using the style attribute, as can be seen over here. Internal CSS is placed within a style tag inside the head section. External CSS is defined in a separate .css file and linked to the HTML document using the link tag. This makes the code more organized and clean as compared to inline or internal CSS, making it easier to maintain and check for any errors. CSS selectors are used to target the HTML elements we want to style. The element selector targets all elements of a specified type. The class selector targets elements with a specific class attribute, and the ID selector targets a single element with a specific ID attribute. Now, we are going to cover some basic CSS properties. In CSS, we'll often use settings like color, font, margin and padding, as well as the border. So combining these properties allows you to create a visually appealing web page. The CSS box model is fundamental for understanding how elements are rendered on a page. It consists of content, padding, border and margin. Understanding the box model is very important for layout design, as it defines the space each element occupies. Next, styling forms with CSS can significantly improve their appearance and usability. You can apply styles to form elements like input fields, labels, and buttons to create a more user-friendly experience. Here's an example of a form styled with CSS. So you might ask, why is CSS important? Well, CSS is vital for making web pages vibrant and attractive. It enhances the structure provided by HTML. A website with only HTML and no CSS will look plain and unstyled, whereas a website with both HTML and CSS can be visually stunning and functional. In this slide, the website on the left does not contain any CSS, while the one on the right is styled with CSS. Which one of these two websites will look more visually pleasing to you? Definitely the one on the right, right? In conclusion, HTML and CSS are the paintbrushes of the internet canvas, adding beauty and functionality to web pages. Practice is key to mastering these skills. Keep experimenting and soon you'll be creating beautiful and functional websites. Now, I'll be going through an example of a functioning website. The website we are looking at is for a fictional camera rental company called Snap Professional Rental. We'll walk through its structure, functionality, and styling. First off is the home page, which is the index.html file. It starts with the doc type declaration and the HTML tag, indicating the document type and root element respectively. The head section contains meta information such as the character set, viewport settings for responsiveness, and the title of the page, which is displayed in the browser tab. We also link to an external CSS file named style.css to apply styles consistently throughout the website. The body section is where all the visible content is placed. It's divided into three main parts: the header, the main content, and the footer. In the header, we have a navigation bar called the div element. Inside this div, we use A tags to create hyperlinks to different pages of the website: the home page, the rental services page, and the contact page. These links help users navigate the site easily. The main section includes a welcoming passage wrapped in a H1 tag for the main heading and a P tag for the paragraph. Headings and paragraphs are fundamental HTML elements of structuring content, making it accessible and readable. Finally, the footer provides copyright information, ensuring visitors know the website's ownership and associated rights. Next, let's look at the rental services page, which displays the available cameras for rent. This page has more complexity due to the inclusion of a table and a form. This page begins similarly with the doc type declaration, HTML, head and body tags. The header contains the same navigation bar, ensuring consistency and ease of navigation across the website. The main section starts with a H1 tag for the main heading, camera rental request. We then have a section for the camera listings. indicated by the section tag with the class camera listing. Inside this section, we have a nested table container that centers the table using the table container class. This table is structured with a T for the header row and a T body for the data rows. The table headers are defined using the TH tags, and each data cell is enclosed in TD tags. Each row represents a different camera with an image, product name, description, and rental cost. The images are included using the IMG tag with alt to describe the image, which is important for accessibility. Below the table, there's a form for submitting a rental request. The form uses the post method to send data securely to the server. It includes a drop-down menu for selecting a camera, an input field for specifying the rental duration, a text area for additional requests, and an email input field. The form ends with a submit button to send the entered data. Lastly, let's examine the contact page, which includes a form for users to send messages. This contact page follows the same structure with the doc type declaration, HTML, head, and body tags. The header includes the navigation bar for easy navigation. The main section starts with a H1 tag for the main heading, Contact Us. The contact form is enclosed within a section tag with the class contact form. The form uses the post method to send data securely to a server-side script for processing. The form includes several input fields, a text input for the user's name, email input for the user's email address, and a text area for the user's message. Each field is labeled for accessibility using the label tag. The form ends with a submit button to send the message. Let's now discuss the various elements in detail. So firstly, the general styles. The body tag sets a clean base for the website by applying a default font family, Arial, Helvetica, Sans Serif, a light grey background color, and removing any default margin and padding. This provides a consistent look and feel across different browsers. For the navigation bar, the .navbar class sets a teal background color for the navigation bar and ensures it does not overflow its container. The navbar is selector styles the navigation links to float left, display as block elements, and have a white text color with centered text alignment. The padding creates a larger clickable area, improving user experience. Next, for the headers and text, the H1 selector styles the main headings with a large font size of 60 pixels, orange color, and centered text alignment. The top margin provides spacing from the content above to ensure readability. Next, for the table selector sets the width to 80% and collapses borders to avoid double lines. The table THTD selectors add teal borders and center alignment within the table cells. The T-head selector styles the table header with a teal background and white text, creating a visually appealing and easy to read table. Forms. For the .rental form selector, it styles the form with a white background and padding, making it distinct from the rest of the content. It also has padding and margin top of 20 pixels each. Next, the label selector ensures labels are block elements with top margins for proper spacing. The input type equals to number, select text area, input type equals to email selectors, style form inputs and text areas to be full width, padded, and have rounded borders for a polished look. The input type equals to submit selector styles the submit button with a teal background, white text, padding, and rounded borders. The hover effect changes the background color slightly, providing interactivity and feedback to the user. For the footer selector styles the footer with a teal background, white text, centered text alignment, padding, and ensures it stays fixed at the bottom of the page. Finally, the table container class uses flexbox to center the table within its container. The best way to learn HTML and CSS is to look at an actual website. Let's assume we go to this page you are seeing here. Now, from any browser, whether it is Chrome, Edge or Firefox, you can right click and choose Inspect. Once you've done that, you can see this window on the right side where you can really see the page code. You can see both HTML code and also the CSS code. So, let's start from the beginning. Click this arrow at the top and hover over the top of the page. Now, immediately, you can see a pop-up with some key information about the part on the page that is being highlighted. For example, if you hover right at the top, you can see the header information in the pop-up window. You can see the CSS ID and the size of that section. If you click that section, you can see on the right the HTML code being highlighted. Here you can see more information like the CSS class and CSS ID. If you open up the arrow, you can also see additional information like the div definition with the CSS class for the div. As you click and open up the arrows, more areas are being shown. For example, if you see the ahref section, you can see image source from the logo img src. You can hover over the link and see the actual image for that link. Further down, you can see under the styles tab with more information about the CSS styling. Each element of the CSS is defined and can be clearly seen. For example, you can go down to the U image and see the elements defined like vertical alignment, background image settings, etc. The next tab called Computed is also quite useful as you can see the size of the box assigned to that section. If you click at different sections of the page, you can then see what is the size of that section, including margin, border and padding. This is especially useful when checking the size of divisions or tables on the page. So yes, the Inspect built-in tool is a very useful way to learn both HTML and CSS by looking at how real web page is coded and designed. By playing around with this tool, the learning journey for HTML and CSS can be accelerated as we can see real-time how actual web pages are being coded. I hope that helps and enjoy your journey of learning HTML and CSS.